Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome again to our second last live of this series. I'll give everyone, like always, just a few moments just to join us here, and then we will get started. I hope everyone had the chance to enjoy some of the nice weather. I think we're getting some snow tomorrow, so okay, so I'm seeing some people trickling in. That's awesome. So just give a few more seconds and then I will get started. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about sleep and the importance of sleep for your health, and just talking about some tips and tricks to improve your sleep hygiene. And then we're following at the end with um, about a 10-minute guided meditation. So I hope you guys. Okay, perfect. Yay, awesome. People can hear me. Okay, so we might as well get started then. Um, so, like I said, today we're actually going to be talking about sleep. Um, and I'm sure you guys are all aware that sleep is just such an important part of our day or our evening. And it impacts us in so many ways. And so, I'll give you just a few reasons why sleep is really important. And just so we can kind of situate ourselves. So, sleep is really important for various aspects of cognitive function. So, things like cognition, concentration, productivity, and performance. Now, all of these things will be negatively affected by sleep deprivation. And I'll give you some cool research studies that will back up the facts that I'm going to be giving you, just to show that there has been significant research in the area of sleep and sleep study. So for in terms of your brain function, a study on actually medical students or medical interns um, provides a really good example of how sleep can help your brain function. So, interns on a traditional schedule with extended work hours sometimes can work more than 24 hours on call all at once. Um, and the people who were doing 24-hour on call shifts made 36% more serious medical errors than interns that were on a schedule that allowed them to have more sleep. And then another study found that short sleep can negatively impact some aspects of brain function, all the way to a similar degree as alcohol intoxication. Um, but on the other hand, good sleep has been shown to improve problem solving skills and enhance memory performance of both children and adults. So, sleep has also been shown to enhance athletic performance. In a study of basketball players, longer sleep was shown to significantly improve their speed, their accuracy, reaction times, and then also their mental well being. Less sleep duration has been associated with poor exercise performance and functional limitation, particularly in a study that involved older women. This study involved almost 3,000 older women that found that poor sleep was linked to slower walking, lower grip strength, and greater difficulty performing independent activities. So it definitely can enhance your physical performance as well as your mental performance. Um, Sleep quality and duration can have a really major effect on many health risk factors. Um, so, in particular, chronic diseases like heart disease. And so, we've been talking a lot about heart disease over the past number of weeks. And so, a review of 15 separate studies found that people who don't get enough sleep are at a far greater risk of having heart disease or stroke compared to those individuals who sleep at least 7 to 8 hours per night. And so it can have very protective effects against significant sources of morbidity and mortality, particularly in older adults. Another thing is that poor sleep is linked to weight gain. So people who sleep for a short period of time actually tend to weigh significantly more than individuals who get adequate sleep. Um, and one of the most strong risk factors for obesity is actually sleep duration, which was actually pretty surprising to me. This may be linked to the fact that the studies basically show that sleep deprived people have a bigger appetite and tend to eat more calories because sleep deprivation disrupts the daily, like regular fluctuations in appetite hormones. And so, if you're not getting enough sleep, it kind of messes with those hormones and can cause poor appetite regulation, and therefore you're eating more. So, that was pretty interesting. Um, Another thing is that some sleep restrictions can also impact blood sugar levels and reduces your body's sensitivity to insulin, which controls your blood sugars. So a study of in healthy young men, they restricted them to sleep 4 hours per night for 6 nights in a row, and just those 6 nights caused them symptoms of prediabetes. And prior to the study, they didn't have any risk factors for it. So even just a short period of time with a significant lack of sleep, like 4 hours is not very much, but it actually caused them to have symptoms of prediabetes. And then when they returned to their normal sleep schedule, these symptoms resolved after 1 week of increased sleep duration. So even small amounts of fluctuation in your sleep patterns can really have a big impact. So poor sleep habits are strongly linked to adverse effects on blood sugar in the general population. Those who sleep less for like a chronic period of time, so a longer period of time, so less than 6 hours per night, have reportedly been shown to be at an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. So if you're somebody who has for a long time gotten less than 6 hours of sleep, it would be important to look at your sleep patterns just to reduce those risks of, heart disease, stroke, diabetes. And then the big one that I think more people are probably more aware of, just because if you don't get very good sleep in one night, you're aware of your own irritability or just like short fuse or the way you feel. But mental health issues like depression are strongly linked to poor sleep quality and sleeping disorders. So it's been estimated that 90% of people with depression complain about sleep quality. So it works both ways. So it's kind of the chicken and egg scenario. Is it the sleep or depression, But poor sleep is associated with even an increased risk of death by suicide. And those with sleeping disorders like insomnia or obstructive sleep apnea, which is where you stop breathing in the middle of the night, are at a significantly higher rate of depression than individuals without sleeping disorders or sleep apnea. Even a small loss of sleep, too, has been shown to impair your immune function. So, one large study that was 2 weeks monitored the development of the common cold after giving people nasal drops with the cold virus. So, they actually gave induced colds, essentially. And they found that the people who slept less than 7 hours were almost 3 times more likely to develop a cold than those who slept 8 hours or more. So they kind of injected them with the virus, and then people who slept less were more likely to show symptoms and actually develop the cold. So if you're somebody who very frequently gets colds, just ensuring that you get at least 8 hours of sleep per night could be really, really helpful. The other thing is that sleep loss, it reduces your ability to interact socially. So several studies have confirmed this using like emotional face recognition tests. One study found that people who hadn't slept had a reduced ability to recognize expressions of anger and happiness on other people's faces. And so researchers believe that poor sleep affects your ability to recognize important social cues and to process emotional information. So this is all great and good to know. And you might be thinking, wow, like that's amazing. Those are great effects of sleep, but this is horrible because I can't sleep very well. And I've tried for so long, but I always have issues with sleep. So some people have issues falling asleep or staying asleep. And those sleep patterns can obviously disrupt the great health benefits of sleeping. And then on the complete other spectrum, some people find that they have to sleep too much or often very tired. So, in terms of how much sleep you actually need to reap these benefits, so sleep needs can vary from person to person, but in general, experts would recommend that healthy adults get an average of 7 to 9 hours per night. If you're an individual who feels that you regularly need more than 8 or 9 hours of sleep per night to feel sufficiently rested, it could be a sign of some underlying problem, and it should be something that you follow up on. Like if you're an individual who needs 12 hours of sleep a night, you might want to look at, is my sleep being disrupted by maybe sleep apnea or something like this, and so the actual 12 hours I'm getting is not good sleep. So it would be something to look into, because a number of conditions can interfere with the quality of your sleep and will lead you to feel tired or sluggish even after spending 8 hours in bed. And some of those things, like I said, would be sleep apnea, which is the breathing disorder that causes you to pause your breathing during sleep. Restless leg syndrome, which is a brain disorder that causes kind of an unpleasant or overwhelming urge to move your legs while you're resting. Bruxism, which is kind of the medical term for when you're grinding or clenching your teeth during sleep, that can also interfere with your sleep. Chronic pain or just certain medications can also impact your sleep patterns. So something that I found kind of interesting that I wasn't really aware of before is that, I think some people say, oh, I'm getting older. I'm assuming that sleeping more is a normal part of aging. But actually, experts have said that getting older shouldn't change your sleep needs so dramatically. And the National Sleep Foundation recommends that older adults over the age of 65 aim to get the same amount of sleep, so that's 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. So it's exactly the same as for adults 18 and above, essentially. Children need a little bit more sleep, and especially very, very young children, newborns, and babies need a lot of sleep. So, like I said, you might be thinking, wow, amazing, 8 hours of sleep, but I cannot get 8 hours of sleep, or it takes me hours and hours to fall asleep. So, what can you do about this? So, good sleep habits are now kind of referred to as sleep hygiene. And just like any other hygiene thing, doing specific things to help your sleep patterns is really important. So some of these habits would be like, one would be to be consistent. Try to go to bed at the same time each night and get up at the same time each morning, even on weekends. So for individuals who are working, it's always, I'm going to sleep in until noon. But then throughout the week, that could actually disrupt your sleep pattern. It's not always possible, but as much as possible to stay consistent. Other things are just environmental, so make sure your bedroom is quiet, dark, relaxing, and at a comfortable temperature. The other thing that's very important, particularly I know for myself, young adults as well have probably struggled with this, but I think anyone does too. Removing electronic devices like TVs, computers, and smartphones from your bedroom. The stimulation from the lights can lead to difficulties falling asleep just because your mind is so aware and you've been exposing yourself to really, really bright light. It's like trying to fall asleep in the middle of a well-lit room. It kind of like lingers. And so turning your phone off or turning off the TV at least half an hour before you're trying to fall asleep could really help you fall asleep more quickly. Other things that you can do is avoid large meals right before you fall asleep, avoiding caffeine after a certain hour, or alcohol before bedtime. These are all things that can make you stay awake. We did a little bit of an exercise activity a few weeks ago, and so being physically active during the day can help you fall asleep more easily at night, just because you'll be more active and then more tired. But it's important to try to finish exercising at least 3 hours before bed or at least 3 hours before you go to bed, or work out earlier in the day. Just because if you're working out right before you go to bed, you can kind of be amped up and you're releasing like adrenaline and stuff that will help you work out, but will not help you fall asleep. The other thing is that you should try to go to sleep when you feel truly tired. Struggling to fall asleep can be very frustrating, especially if it's been going on for hours. If you don't fall asleep after about 20 minutes or so, try getting out of bed, going to another room, and doing something relaxing like reading or listening to music until you're tired enough to fall asleep. The other thing would be, like I said, about 20 minutes, but don't be like a clock watcher. So if you can, turn your clock around. If you keep consistently looking at your clock and realizing, okay, the night is progressing and I'm still awake, it can lead to like anxiety. And so that would not help you fall asleep. If you just turn the clock around, that can help too. And then the most important part, I guess, of this live and what we're going to be transitioning into in a few moments is that you want to try to do some relaxing activities before you go to bed. Things like taking a bath, reading a book, or practicing relaxation exercises, which is what we're going to be doing in a few short minutes. So today we're going to be trying mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness meditation involves focusing on your breathing, bringing your mind's attention to the present without drifting into concerns about the past or the future. And it helps you break the train of your everyday thoughts to bring forward kind of that relaxation response and using whatever technique feels right to you. Research suggests that various types of meditation can help improve insomnia, but it can also do so much more. It can help you reduce stress, control your anxiety, promote your emotional health. It actually may, they're not entirely sure yet, but reduce age-related memory loss, and then lengthen your attention span and enhance your self-awareness. And related to this live mindfulness meditation helps to improve your sleep quality and reduce daytime disturbance in people who have chronic insomnia, and particularly in older adults. So it's worth the try. You don't need to do hours and hours of mindfulness meditation. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes is great. There are several applications on your phone that you could get for free. Things like Headspace or Calm are two different applications that you can use. You can always find it on the internet if you're looking for guided meditation, or simply just sitting in a quiet room, relaxing, focusing on your breath, or you could watch this live and you could keep repeating it and do this activity. So we will actually go in and start now. So what I would like you kind of to do is that if you are in a comfortable space, like a comfortable chair, you can try to sit just comfortably and calmly. Sometimes people find it helps to put their feet like planted on the floor. It makes them feel a little bit more grounded. But if not, you can have your legs crossed, whatever position feels comfortable for you. It's also important to kind of be sitting in more of a quiet room, avoiding distractions. It'll be both easier to, hear my voice, and then also just to really focus on yourself. So if you can find a quiet space, or if you can put in music on your headphones or something like that to prevent distractions from the things around you. Okay, so without further ado, we will get started on it. So just give me 1 second. So you're gonna just find a comfortable seat, sit quietly, and just start breathing normally. And we're just gonna start to take more deep inhales and exhales, just focusing on our breath. And you can close your eyes if it feels right for you, or you could keep your eyes open. And just maintain a soft focus as you start to take your big, deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with the next exhalation, just gently closing your eyes, just feeling the weight sinking down, becoming more aware of those points of contact and the sensation of the body just pressing down against the chair or the floor or wherever you're sitting. Taking a moment or two to notice any sounds around. And as you bring the attention back to the body now, just starting to notice how the body is feeling. Now, at first, just in a very general way. And when you're ready, starting with the top of your head, just gently scanning down through the body. Remembering to notice those areas that feel really relaxed and comfortable, as well as any areas that might feel a little bit tense or tight in any way. And as you continue to scan down towards the toes, at the same time, just getting a sense of any particularly strong mood that might be around right now. So, not only becoming aware of the physical sensations, but also the emotional quality of mind. And just as we did, just pausing just for a moment, just to be clear in your mind about why you're doing this exercise, and perhaps bringing to mind just a couple of people close to you in your life who would benefit in some way from you doing this exercise. And maybe that is just yourself, or maybe those are some people around you. And you can now just let the attention, the focus, naturally drift down to the breath that's rising and falling as you just settle into the rhythm of your own breath. Noticing whether the breaths are long or short, deep or shallow. And remember, if you find that it helps, that you can actually count the breaths as they pass. Like one, as you breathe in, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and exhaling. And if you're noticing that your mind is wandering, that's okay. Just bring it back to your breath. Just focusing on the way your chest is lifting and falling. Remembering that it's completely normal for your mind to wander at this stage. And as soon as you notice that it's wandered, just gently bringing your attention back to the center again. And with the next exhalation, just letting go of any focus on anything. Just let the mind wander off now and be completely free. So, no sense of effort or control, just letting it do whatever it wants to do. And then just bringing the attention back once again to the body, back to the physical sensation, the body on the chair or the floor. Perhaps the soles of your feet on the floor, and your hands or arms on your legs. Just noticing any sounds, any strong smells. Just bringing the mind back into the physical senses. And in your own time, you can just gently open the eyes again. And as you sit back now and just take a moment to appreciate how that feels, taking a little bit of time out just for yourself, just reflecting today on how different the mind feels and how you felt in the mind during this practice, or how different that might have felt from moments before or hours before, and seeing what a difference that your more clear mind can make And with that, just two more big, deep breaths. And thank you guys so much. Um, I hope that you enjoyed it. I know if this is your first time doing a meditation practice, my first time, I remember thinking that it felt a little bit slow, that maybe um, it wasn't for me. But if you really stick to it, you realize how big of an impact it can have on just your mind. And just taking, this was a 10-minute one, but if you take, you know, even 5 minutes just to sit, and really all it was thinking and focusing on your breathing, and centering your focus and mind towards your body and your breathing, and just seeing what an impact that can have just on shifting your mood and relaxation. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it. And we have one more live left next week. It's going to be a really fun trivia session. So come out and test your knowledge of heart health. And I hope that you guys have a really great rest of your day and that you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Bye.